brave effort, if I might call it that, by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to launch this book called Vision and Reality on the 1978 Constitution. For the reasons that he has said in his own article that is published in this book, and for some of the views he expressed today to us at this launch, I think it is indeed a brave effort, even at the risk of sounding paternalistic. Might I share that sentiment. The 1978 Constitution, or the Second Republican Constitution, is a very strange document. It's a strange document because it declares itself to be the supreme law of the country, and yet even today, after 35-36 years of its enactment, you find successive governments, and even today the government that is there offering to implement all parts of the Constitution, conceding thereby that some sections of the Constitution is not implemented in full. They refer to certain parts as inviolable. Even if you call for changes of those parts, which any citizen is well entitled to do, that's treated as some kind of treachery, whilst they themselves openly say or concede, admit that sections of the Constitution are not implemented, and in offering to implement it, they think they are making a great concession. What is wrong with the process of constitution making in Sri Lanka? All the constitutions in Sri Lanka since its independence have failed. And there is one particular reason for that, and as I identify that, I might actually disagree or touch on a matter that most speakers haven't touched on, and that is the lack of national consensus in the constitution making process of this country. There is a story that Dr. Jihan Pereira likes to repeat, and I have heard it from him a number of times, so you might have also heard it. But I think it's worth repeating. Not my original story. There was a family of father, mother, and 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy. And as the children were growing up, the parents became a little affluent and were able to afford holidays during school holiday times. So they said, okay, from now on, every school holidays we will go out and spend it well as a family. And the first time they did that, they said, children, you decide where should we go. The boy was an adventurous type. He said, I want mountain climbing. The girl said, no, let's go to the beach. They couldn't agree, so they took a vote. Naturally, 3-1, they went to the beach. The boy was disappointed. He waited till the next school holidays. Next school holidays came around and the girls wanted to go to the beach again. He said, well, last time we went, should we go mountain climbing? They said, no, we'll be democratic, let's take a vote. So this time also he lost, and he refused to eat and refused to cooperate with the family and so on. Third time, the same thing happened, and this time he boycotted the family holiday. The fourth time when it happened, he wouldn't take it any longer. He says, is this the way decisions are made? And he started throwing things around in the house. Now that is what is wrong with this constitution, or all the constitutions that we've had since independence. Simple majority rule doesn't work. Simple majority rule does not work. And the Solbari constitution that we had supposedly had a safeguard in section 29, which was violated within months of its enactment, when Tamils of recent Indian origin were disenfranchised. People who had voted at the first general election in 1947 and elected 7 members of parliament found that they didn't have their vote taken away by a process of democracy, or so it was called, by a vote in parliament. That safeguard didn't work when 1956 one language was made the official language of the country. If at the time of the Solbari constitution somebody had asked, give us some examples of the privilege that one community might be conferred with that the others are not given, one could have given that as a classic example of making one language the official language. But even that passed muster. Legal challenges didn't work, or got delayed, and by the time anything could move, 1970 had happened, and supposedly an autochthonous constitution process was launched. Autochthonous means from the people. It does not mean from one people, but that is what we have. From one people, a constitution was made that ruled over the other peoples of this country. In the Constituent Assembly, the federal party which I represent now in Parliament made a series of recommendations, proposals to Mr. B. Ramalingam, the last of which was nowhere near even a federal constitution, but just some reasonable arrangements for this power imbalance, this imbalance that is created by a permanent majority and a permanent minority, or permanent minorities, to be redressed in some way. That was defeated by, I think, a vote of 89 to 14. Every one of those proposals was 88 to 13, 18, 89 to 14. Majority. Majoritarianism then is a malady that affects our country. Majoritarianism is a malady that has affected the constitution making process of this country to this day. To the point that even in discussions and deliberations on what constitution we should have, that is not even addressed. But issues like executive presidential system, independent commissions, all the rest of various aspects are talked about, and the most important issue that has plagued this country is not even mentioned. How do we make a constitution that is truly autochthonous, meaning truly of all the peoples of this country? How should that discussion proceed? Does that discussion also proceed on the basis of majority numbers of people? Or, leaving the numbers aside, take on board certain basic principles of equality, and the Honorable Leader of the Opposition was pleased to mention some of those today. of language, he said, of religion, and that's a departure, and that is why I describe this as a brave effort. Because if that is to be so, then the fundamental character of our new constitution must be very, very different to all the three that we have seen. It must redress this huge imbalance, that elephant in the room that we have all chosen to ignore, even today. That must be recognized and addressed. And until we do that, for the next century or so, we have already gone through 2/3 of a century, we will still be talking about constitutional reform. It is not, I am not suggesting that the issues that are being discussed and identified are not important. That is not what I am saying. I don't want to be misunderstood. Those are important. Those excavate the fundamental issue that I spoke about. Executive presidency certainly must be abolished. There is no two words about that. The fact that initially it was power being concentrated in the majority alone. Mr. C. Sundaralingam, speaking in Parliament in the 1950s, had this to say to the Speaker who wore a face cap. And he said, if this Parliament today passes a motion saying that you cannot come into this house with a face cap, I don't know what you will do. But he said, if they pass a motion saying that I cannot enter this house with holy ash on my forehead, they will have my fist on their face. Counting of heads is not cutting of heads, he said. So there are certain fundamentals that one must adhere to beyond the majority rule, beyond the rule of the majority. And if that is to happen, some of the basic tenets that you find in the 1972 Constitution and 1978 Constitution, like primary place to Buddhism and language provisions, must be altered. It may not be a popular thing to say, but that is the right way to go. It is important for the executive presidency to be abolished. I find it extremely amusing that there is one article here that supports it by the author who for long argued against it. But look at the argument that is given here as well, that it serves well to contain terrorism or defeat terrorism, without asking the question, what gave rise to terrorism in the first place? It was under an executive presidency that also arose. So it is not executive presidency. Executive presidency, as I said, started, or rather the issue first, concentration of power started with first going to the majority, then to the ruling party, and now it is concentrated not only in the ruling party, not just in the ruling party, but in the ruling family. And the executive presidency actually facilitates that. So that must go, obviously that must go. No amount of tinkering with the executive presidency will do. The system as a whole must go. But more importantly, when it goes, what will replace it? What will replace it? And again, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition raised that issue. And in replacing that, replacing a system of government, replacing what we have today as a decision-making process that truly represents a pluralistic society, that truly brings on board all the communities that inhabit this island, there has to be a proper consultation without reference to their numbers, but based on principles. Unless that issue of majoritarianism is squarely and fairly addressed and a remedy found, we will fail again in our effort at a new constitution. Thank you.